The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv.
The beginning of the week.
The beginning of the week.
And you know, it always seems that on Mondays when we go on, there's nothing going on in the city. But as soon as we get out of here, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, well, it was a little sticky, and it's going to be sticky for a few days. So normally the humidity lets the lunacy wait till the evening hours, and on the weekends they kind of stay hunkered down. Although there was a shooting in Providence, I believe.
Yeah, well, Providence has one every night, it seems.
Yeah, it's at some club, so they apprehended 2 people. I saw that on the news. But we have promotion, next step after Fall River Urban Renewal Plan, secure state approval. Well, again, urban renewal. We all see how much urban renewal does, because we've been having urban renewal programs funded by the feds in the state for what, 100 years?
It must be.
And they don't do any good.
But this urban renewal plan is for downtown and for the waterfront. 2 different plans.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to build up the downtown for how long?
Yeah,
At least 20 years.
Yeah, and look, it isn't even urban renewal anymore. Urban renewal used to mean they were going to try to help people get better places to live in the neighborhoods. Now you notice where they're doing the urban renewal, in business districts.
Yep.
So number one, again, the people take it on the chin. But I remember an old documentary in New York City where they completely renovated a high-rise in a project, and then they went back 10 years later, and it was just as bad as it was after it got renewed because the occupants just don't care.
Right.
And,
they don't own it.
And urban renewal, and this is, you know, listen, this is again more feel good. By the way, I replaced it with an ace bandage now. No more yellow. So when I changed the dressing. So, but. You know, these things don't do any good. You're gonna renew the waterfront. You're gonna renew the downtown area. The downtown area now isn't a downtown area. It's got a courthouse in the middle of it. So what genius ever put that in? Is
Eddie Lambert.
That's right. And we know what genius, but I mean just the overall genius of government to stick a court. Well, of course, in the crime capital of the state. Maybe we do, but maybe we should have as the crown jewel of downtown a courthouse. Maybe that's appropriate. I have to look at it from a different perspective now. Maybe that's what we should have. Maybe we should have a courthouse and a jail. Since we're the most dangerous city in the state of Massachusetts, maybe that's the kind of renewal we need. It fits. If the shoe fits, wear it. But downtown to be rejuvenated as a retail area, the Pleasant Street is a retail area, or the waterfront as a commercial area. It's all crap. Has anybody figured out we still are always at the top of unemployment? We're always at the lowest for income. How is anything, you put lipstick on the pig, but then you don't give the pig any food, and the pig starves to death. That's what happens. That's why these kind of programs, all this is headlines, so the politicians will say, look what we're doing for you. See what the state's doing for us. They're giving us money so we can fix up our friends' places.
And to justify the economic development's position.
And to justify another position we gave away. So, look, this is why nothing ever improves in Fall River, because nobody really wants to deal with the real problems. They don't want to stop the influx of junkies, stop the influx of people moving into the projects who don't work. Look at the line at the pot store. Look at the line at the package store. But we can't sustain businesses. None of these programs do any good. The economic stimulus that counts is people. People with paychecks and discretionary cash. This is absolute political crap. The reason that Fall River has not improved in the last 25, 30 years is because we've had what? We were named a all-American city, which is a euphemism for crap hole. Gateway City, another euphemism for crap hole. We get all these labels. Then we get how many urban renewal packages, more money pumped into the educational system. And when they don't work, do we fix them? Do we try to determine who's not doing their job when the buildings fall apart? No. We keep paying them. We hire more people to put on a payroll, and we waste more money. That's government at its best.
Well, without money to waste, what good would it be?
What good is government?
Yeah, what good is
What
government?
good is government without the
Waste
money to spend? You know, then Milton Friedman would be rolling over in his grave if they didn't run out of sand.
Exactly. But you know, you brought something up about the pot stores and everything.
Yep.
And then you said package stores. You know that Rob Melly, the former CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, now he's a lobbyist for the alcohol beverage people and the package
Boy, what an
stores.
appropriate transition.
Yeah. Well, he's now lobbying against what Cumberland Farms and Walmart and other companies want. They want to loosen up the liquor licenses so that they can put them in stores and places like Cumberland Farms and everything else, because it happens that way everywhere else in the country. We have an antiquated liquor licensing law, which not in Fall River we don't, because as long as you know the mayor, you get one.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And so both sides are all upset about it. And Cumberland Farms would like to get this done before they open up their new store on Brighton Avenue. So it's going to be interesting to see. And that's if they looked at the flood zone. Because I remember the area they're trying to put this on Stevens Street. We've had a couple of heavy floods there. So all I can see is this store being underwater a couple of times. But hey, who am I? The Environmental Commission or whatever here in Fall River turned around and said, nope, it's fine. Go ahead, put it in there. But you know, you got to remember, you're putting in gas storage drums underground, tanks. Mm-hmm. And if the water table is that high or it floods, there's going to be a problem.
Well, they don't care. But as you said, we have an antiquated system in this state. But we have an antiquated system intentionally because politicians and their friends get the liquor licenses and they get the package stores and they have a monopoly. And then our reps go to New Hampshire to buy their liquor anyway, and they tax it to death. They don't want lower priced and more convenience for the consumer because they don't care about us. If you go to Maine, and obviously I'm familiar with Maine. I went there. My father was born there. I went there every summer as a child. I still go there. I'll be going there after Labor Day and for a couple days. And but both of my children go to Maine in the summer for a week or two, and my daughter's up there now. But the reality is that in Maine, you can go to a supermarket and buy beer and wine.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk in, so it actually enhances it. You got a lot of vacationers up there. You got a lot of people up there. So they go to the supermarket, they pick up some groceries because they're staying in a cabin or something that's got cooking facilities. And they go grab a few groceries and they grab some drinks to sit out on their the screened-in porch or something. But if you want alcohol, hard liquor, you've got to go to a state package store up there. But I mean, as you said, most of the rest of the country, you can go in and buy beer and wine at supermarkets, and the liquor licensing is far more modern. But they don't care. this is the thing. The great thing about Massachusetts, Taxachusetts, all they care about is taxing everything and taking care of their friends. The hell with the consumer. We just had don't remind me. We had a tax-free weekend. Yeah, but you remember, they didn't give it to us there for a year or two, and they had to, the only reason they gave it to us was they didn't want us to be too outraged with the big pay raises and stipend increases, so.
Not only that, there was a question that was supposed to appear on the ballot, which was reduce our taxes and provide a tax holiday every year.
Yeah, which they would have ignored anyway.
Right, so the great compromise for this was, we'll keep the taxes high where they are.
Yeah.
But we'll give you a legislative, a law which says you get the tax-free weekend. Now, the tax-free weekend was technically supposed to be last weekend, not the one that just went by.
Yep.
But they said, well, we'll move it a week. So already they're playing with the law.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's going to be? Well, we're really hard up for cash right now, so we're going to do away with the weekend, just like they've done the past couple of years. So don't count on this at all. But I was glad to have it because I had to buy a new range. One died of my tenants, so I had to buy a new range.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you had a bad. At least you got your refrigerator fixed. You didn't have to buy a new refrigerator.
No, I didn't have to buy a new refrigerator.
One out of two ain't bad.
One out of three, because remember, my air conditioner blew up.
Oh, that's right. The air conditioner blew up. So, I mean, there's no choice about whether we're gonna get it fixed or not. It blew up.
That's it. That's it.
But, yeah, so, again, urban renewal, we segued into a few other things, but the reality is that, look, this is BS. And as I said, what disturbs me more about this article is I remember years ago when urban renewal actually meant helping neighborhoods.
But, my big concern, and we've seen it already, is that these urban renewal plans are going to benefit the mayor's friends and family members of his girlfriend, and I have a problem with that. I have a severe problem with that. They don't care what the problem is with the city pier. Hey, we're going to put an entertainment venue on there, even though we signed an agreement with the EPA saying we're only going to have it for marine issues.
Well, I think you made that pretty clear in a weekend flush that you were real happy, and you're right. But the great thing about this is talk about throwing good money after bad, wasting money. The mayor didn't care whether we got state funds or not.
Right.
We already use city taxpayer money for streetscapes. So now we got more money for them to give away. That's how now they're dancing. But the reality is they don't need this. But it's, again, throw money around so they can say, well, we're one of the highest tax states in the country. And you go, wow, but this is what they throw around as their counter, as you said. This was a deal so they could keep the taxes because they didn't want that on a ballot to lower the state tax.
Right.
So, this is what they'll say. Oh, well, look what your taxes go for. They don't tell you about all the money they waste and all the money their friends make and who it goes to. Oh, look at the urban renewal grants we gave out. Look at this grant. Look at that grant. They throw a couple of breadcrumbs to the peons, and then they remind you of it. And then they tax your liquor to death. They tax you to death. They increase the fees, and everybody gets rich, as you said. This is a joke. And when people, it speaks volumes about the electorate. And how naive and just flat out dumb they are to buy this crap. And they keep these people in there forever. And that's the problem, as we've said half a million times.
The only way we're going to get a change is for the people to go out and not vote for any incumbents.
That's right. And remember, everybody, on Wednesday we have our first guest.
That's true. We have Colin Dias coming in.
That's right.
Because he's the only one that came back and said, hey, I'll show up. Which, hey, I'm not going to say anything about it. He better be here. That's all I'm going to say. While we're speaking about elections and politics, on September 5th, there will be a debate held by the Fall River Reporter, which is a Facebook news outlet and FRC Media. They're putting them together. My only problem with that, and it's a mayoral debate, and it will only air on Facebook and on FRC Media's webpage and on their Facebook page. My problem is that the Forward Reporter has been in the mayor's pocket for some time. They always run all his propaganda. They don't ask him any hard questions. There's always a problem. So I have some questions on how fair and balanced this debate may be.
Yeah. And as we've said numerous times, because we've run a couple of debates, and as we said, it's more theater than
it is.
than information. The way I think we're doing it now is far better. But then again, most people who go to the debate and watch debates, they've already got their mind up. Very few people watch that, and as I said, because they know it's 30-second sound bites.
Right.
It's a circus because. And then even if they do screw up, like Biden, Mr. Gaff, then he goes and hides for a while and comes back. And who cares? But that's the problem. And hey, it is what it is. So we will be going to have guests, and hopefully we'll get all the mayoral candidates in here. So
I'm going to try to get them all in for 1 week. The week after next, maybe.
Yeah.
Or next week, I should say. I was going to try to get them in the week before the
primary,
because then they would be fresh in everyone's mind.
Yeah. And the finalists will be in before the final election. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people just aren't taking this election too seriously because nobody wants to run. Nobody wanted to run. I mean, I remember a time when there'd be 30, 40 people on the ballot. And we had 70% turnout at the polls. But, those are times long gone by.
Yeah, well.
And now they're saying that maybe if they made the ballot available online for people to vote. What? You want to do it online? Talk about hacking elections. It would be very interesting to see how that went over. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess our next one is one of your. I know you want to cover this one for sure. Yeah. Fall River welcomes first female, first Asian firefighters at graduation.
Ooh.
And I know you want me to say something on this one.
Well, that's why I put it there, because
Yeah. Well, look, again, this is headlines.
But that's the problem with this. Why do we have to advertise that we have our first Asian firefighter? What's the big deal with that? So you've got an Asian firefighter. What, if you get a Cambodian one, you're going to say first Cambodian firefighter?
I've got to think it's an election ploy to say, look at how great we're being
diverse.
We're so diverse and inclusive. Listen, the reality is this is a civil service department. We've had females on the list to come on the job before. We've had, I think we've had Asians too. I may not be right on that one, but I think we did have, at least with some people that had some Asian in them. But the reality is this is an open examination to anybody. You want to go get an application to be a firefighter in the city of Fall River, you can go down and get an application. You file it, you take the test, you're put on a civil service list. You go for a fitness test. If you pass the fitness test, you then are put on a list by mock, and the civil service says you take them by grade. They round them off, which I don't agree with anymore, but we stipulated that for acting you had to go down to the percentages. But they round them off, and then you hire. The civil service formula is 2 times the number of vacancies plus 1. So you interview those people. In other words, you can't hire if there are 15 people between 92 and 90 and you interview the top candidates, but you can't go down to 70. That's the only good thing about it, because the mayor's cousin is down there. But so this is the thing that. Look, I spent 38 years on that job. We had as he was referred to, one of the most iconic fire chiefs of all time, Louis A. Shea, we had his daughter on the list. She didn't come on a job. Why? I don't know. She wasn't really that high up on the list. The reality is that we've had females on the list before. They either didn't get through the physical exam, the fitness part, they didn't get a high enough grade on the exam to be considered, or then they decided they didn't want the job. So we finally got one that got through the process. I mean, let's not make this like this is some kind of big thing that the mayor and the chief have to take credit for. It's a process that's been available for decades. They didn't do anything. That female and that Asian took a test and did what we've been doing for 100 years to get on the fire department. This time they had the combination. They passed the fitness test. They had a high enough numerical grade to be interviewed. And then they went to the training academy and got through. So are we going to make a big deal out of this? Well, it's publicity. It's something to write an article about. But what has it got to do? As someone who spent most of his adult life fighting fires in this city, I'm going to give you my perspective as someone who was not only the president of the union for 24 years, but also a chief for 25 years. I don't care what their ethnicity is or what their gender is. I never did. All I care about is if they can do the job. If she's a female and she can drag hose and she can put up a ladder, and if she goes in a building, she can get her partner out, as he will have to get her out. As the Germans say, Max nix. Doesn't make any difference what her gender is. That job to me is gender neutral. What it is it's not neutral when it comes to the ability to do the job. And I will tell you straight, I had to represent a lot of people that weren't fit for that job. Why? Because of politics. Because they knew somebody. And I can tell you there were people that should have never made it through the training academy that did. They didn't climb the ladders, they didn't do the evolutions, but they managed to get through. And that's what disturbs me about the fire service. Not this. If this female, she's a roofer, she can do the job, fine. She's a firefighter. And as I said once at a retirement banquet, firefighters are like military people. You can be Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives, males and females, Asians, blacks, whites. You argue in a fire station, but one thing I saw there, when the bell hit, everybody worked as a team. All that was out the window. I saw guys at each other's throat at a kitchen table. And then when the bell rang, they'd drag each other out of a burning building and go in a burning building and work together to rescue somebody. Just like that's the nature of the job. Firefighters don't ask how much you make, what color you are, what gender you are if you're trapped in a building. They're going in to try to save your life. That's one of the great things about being a firefighter and having done that job.
Well,
The ability to go in and know that you're doing a job to help people, regardless of what. There is no discrimination on a fire department. When you pull up to a burning building, you do the job. There is no review of their ethnicity, their financial reports, their credit rating, or anything.
When do you have time? When would you have time?
And that's the nature of the beast.
Right.
Firefighters are there to save lives and protect lives and property. And you know, this, to me, as you know, it may be good reading for some people to go, oh yeah, but I think the record has to be set straight. There have been women before on the list. It's not like this administration or this chief made a conscious effort to get a woman on. Because if they did that and they favored her, that's wrong. If this individual got through the training academy and she pulled her weight, it doesn't matter what her gender is. As I said, the primary thing on this job is, can you do the job? And I've seen a lot of people that couldn't do that job that stayed on that job because of political connections. I saw a lot of people that would pull holes up to the door and then go straighten it out in the street, not go in the building. And and that disturbed me. It still disturbs me.
Well, you know, what's interesting is while they've graduated, and they had a big ceremony for the graduation, which, you know, is nice to have, they're on probation, aren't they?
A year, yeah.
For 1 year. So,
they can be terminated
without cause.
Without cause. There's no civil service protection for them. They can be just terminated within their probationary period, yeah.
Now, how does it work with the union? Do they get union coverage until after the 1 year?
No, yeah, they get everything except that particular. The union, what they do is they are represented, everything in the collective bargaining agreement. They get all the benefits and everything in the collective bargaining agreement. The only thing they are exempt from is the due process under the civil service laws, sections 41 through 45, which I know very well because I had to do it 100 times. They don't have that protection where if you're attempted to be terminated once you're a civil service employee and a permanent employee, that you get a hearing and there's a whole, if you guys want to go there, just go up and look at sections 41 through 45 in the civil service sections. But the reality is they get everything. They are firefighters. They're probationaries in the fact that they get a probationary report every month from their company officer and from the district chief of their shift. They get evaluated monthly, and at the end of their year, they take another exam, and then they become permanent.
It's a long process.
It's a very long process, and they should be proud, and they should have a graduation, and they should be recognized. But to make this like, I just don't like the implication, and that's personal. I don't like the implication, like, okay, it's the first female, and you can make a note of that. It's the first one who got through the entire process. But it appears, I just don't like the way this is structured. It's almost like, look, we did something special here. No, what you did was you finally got some people interested in the job. There have been women before. And let's make that very clear. And as a matter of fact, the iconic chief referred to in this article, Louis Shea, who I worked with for a majority of my career, his daughter was on the list, but she never got on a job. So were a lot of other women. And we've had women on the job. That's one of the problems. Maybe the only good thing this may do is maybe it will encourage more women to apply.
And I'd like to see that. And I'd like to see more minorities apply.
Sure.
Because we don't have a lot of minorities in Fall River that are working for the city.
You're right, and that's the key. The key is that this is open to everybody. It's an open, continuous examination. There are no criterias there. You can go down and take this test, and then there's a process, and it's open to everybody. And hopefully this will make more people, more Asians and more females to take advantage. But remember, if you're going to take this job, it's a job you can die at, and you should be able to do it. And if you can't do it, you shouldn't be on it.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Wednesday with our guest, Colin Dias, and hopefully he's here because I'll shoot him. Not really, not really.
Well, I can't believe you said that. That's not politically correct,
I know.
CJ. Uh-oh.
Have a great day.